right. Thank you all for making your trek over here. You're in for a real treat. Have any of you heard from Jennifer before? Have you heard her speak? Raise your hand high. Don't be shy. All right. So you're going to have all the answers. She is a real treat. She's a Ball State grad, along with her husband and her 4 boys, which she'll talk about. She's a great friend to the university. Back in September of 2022, I was watching the news getting ready for work, and I saw this story about this lady who started this little business in Noblesville, and I told Rob, I said, this is someone we should bring to campus for Global Entrepreneurship Week. Didn't realize that all the ties to the Ball State at the time, so I just sent her a blind email through her website, and she so graciously accepted and said, sure, I'll come speak. And so since that point, this will be her 3rd year to speaking to our students. She has some great golden nuggets, so I would be sure to keep notes. If your laptop is open, I'm assuming that's what you're doing. Otherwise, if you don't plan on taking notes on your laptop, please put it away out of respect for her and her time. With that, I'll let her introduce herself a little bit more. Jennifer, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. You'll let me know if you can't. Can you hear me from the back? Thumbs up or down? Awesome. I'm Jennifer Wiese. Thank you for the introduction, Candy, and thank you for welcoming me and sharing some of your morning with me. I'm Jennifer Wiese. I'm founder and CEO of a company called Be Free. So this morning, I'm going to share a little presentation with you, and it's going to kind of highlight some of the things along my journey of building a business and a brand. And some of those things are how I have continued to be a promise keeper, a joy seeker, and a problem solver. And we'll go through some of the highlights of the Be Free story, building a business, some teaching moments, and plenty of time at the end for some questions and conversation. So a little bit about me. So I was born and raised in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I, as mentioned earlier, went to Ball State. So did my grandmother, you see here. That is Violet May Maloney. She was one of the first graduating classes when Ball State was a teacher's college back in the 20s. So I have a long lineage of Ball State ties in my family. So I graduated back in the 80s. I studied fashion merchandising and marketing, and then I had spent some time in the fashion industry in Indiana and in Florida, and then really grew a yearning for, while I was in Florida, really missed Indiana. I missed my Hoosier roots. I missed the friendliness and just the community that's here in Indiana. And so I moved back to Indiana, and I joined the marketing and sales team with the Hyatt Regency in downtown Indianapolis. And there, I never ever imagined that all these years later, I would still be drawing on the experience and the training that I received when I was in my mid-20s with the Hyatt Regency. So I say that because you all never know what's ahead of you and how you'll be learning things that you have no idea how they're going to play out in the rest of your life, so pay attention. And then I met my knight in shining armor. We got married, and I became a mom. Some of the greatest joys in my family are right here. Now, they're little here, so they're all in their 20s now, but we had 4 babies in 5 years. We had Augie, Hagen, Clay, and Drake, and those, I'm telling you what, were some of the best years of my life. Super, super fun, energetic, and really full of memories. And one of the memories along the way is, no one ever expects things to go wrong in their life. No one ever expects to have an accident or, for your life to not go exactly as you imagine it in your head. And so in 2007, our son was diagnosed with autism. Our oldest son, August, was diagnosed with autism. And that was terrifying for us as a family because we didn't know anything about autism. The only thing we knew were movies like Rain Man, really severe cases that, typically led to a very limited lifestyle, and not exactly one that we envisioned for our child. And so, but some of the other, so when he was under 7, we were noticing some things in just the way that he was acting and managing his time and interacting with other people. And some of those things were he was very limited in the things that he would choose to eat, the toys he would choose to play with, where he liked to sit, eat dinner, all those kind of things were very, very limited. He was very linear in his playing, so he would line up toys from the front of the house to the very back of the house. He loved trains, anything that was in a straight line like that. And he was a very rule follower, like to the extreme. I love a rule follower. He was a very, very rule follower, like very, very meticulous. I'm not saying all these are everything that people with autism have. This was just our experience, things that we were noticing. And so that led to a diagnosis of autism. And back in 2007 and 2008, was very, very much different. We didn't have the tools and the diagnostics that we do today. And we didn't have the really powerful, positive information and community and support mechanisms that we do today. So in our community, my family lives in Noblesville. We did not find really great, positive sources of information and support where we lived back then. And so we landed in Vancouver at an autism conference, and there we found our people. We found parents, we found educators, we found therapists, we found this whole mecca of people who understood autism and really were very focused on how do we make people's lives better? How do we engage them in society? How do we create a world that speaks to them? And so that was really, really powerful. And one of the things we took away there was gluten-free and how a gluten-free lifestyle could be impactful, not a cure, right? There is no cure for autism, but this was a support mechanism that we learned of that could be helpful. So I was like, all right, I like to be in the kitchen. I feel really comfortable making recipes and creating things, so let's go. So I enlisted my mom. We started creating favorite family recipes, converting them to gluten and dairy-free so that my son could eat food that was delicious and that everyone around the table could eat the same food. And so there were some problems along the way. One of the problems that we identified was that there were not a whole ton of delicious, real ingredient gluten-free foods in the marketplace. You couldn't buy things like you can now. You couldn't order a gluten-free burger or a gluten-free cupcake like you can now at many restaurants and delis and bakeries. It just wasn't available then. So we identified there was a problem, and we got to work. I'm a problem solver. It's just part of my DNA. I love a challenge, and I like to find a solution for a problem. So that was a problem. There were not good tasting gluten-free foods. So we got busy. And these are some pictures of me along the way. So one, don't tell the health department, but this was back in 2009. That's me in my garage. That's a leaf blower that the arrow is pointing to, and that is a tumble drum. So we created a flour recipe that had 5 different types of flour in it, and we made it in this big tumble drum. It was a big piece of equipment, but at the time I didn't have the money to rent a warehouse or buy a building. So I was just kind of scrapping things together, and this was where I found that I could put this piece of equipment. So, and then in the middle picture, we finally did contract with a manufacturing bakery. But one day, a bunch of people got sick, and I had a big order that needed to go out. So guess what? I put my apron on, my hairnet, and my gloves, and I went to the bakery, and I did what needed to get done. And then the picture on the very end is me at a bakery that I got started with that allowed me to expand. So all of these pictures are just kind of giving you a glimpse of my journey, and that it wasn't all roses and sunshine, right? This is kind of the nitty-gritty behind the business, and there were a lot of days in the early days, and even now, that I gotta roll up my sleeves and I have to do the work that needs to get done, because I have a vision and I have a mission, and I have a lot of people that depend on me. But also I wanna make a difference. So, and then so Be Free comes to life. You see at the top, we're a family business. We were then, we are now. But in the early days, I would enlist my sons, and we would together fill our orders for the farmers market. And then in the middle is a picture of the evolution of our packaging, just to show that I started out using a brown coffee bag, and the label on it was printed on my home black and white LaserJet printer. So, and then, we moved to the black package that was all shiny, and we felt like it was so fancy. We're so proud of it. And then we moved to the next, and at each step we're getting more business so that we can fill a larger order. Packaging is expensive, and until you get to certain quantities, then you're kind of stuck in certain areas of packaging for the cost of the product that you're producing. So then we went to the gold package, and then finally a pre-printed package, because we finally made it to be able to meet a certain minimum, and I think it was like 50,000 packages. So that was really big then. Now, and that was a few years ago, we have a new version of our package that we order a minimum of 100,000 per flavor or per item. So we just continue to grow and meet those new benchmarks. But just some other pictures of us along the way. I'm there in the farmer's market with a scarf around my neck because it was indoor farmer's market, but it was an unheated building. And so, but those were really great times. So amazing memories that I have from those early farmer's market days. If you ever decide that you want to put a product or a service out into the world and you want consumer feedback, farmers markets or any kind of direct interaction with your consumer like a farmers market allows, I can't recommend it enough. It's where people they're not being paid to tell you what they think. They're just giving you their honest feedback. And it was some of the greatest lessons I've learned ever have been at farmers markets. It also was a chance for you to connect with your customer. I want to know what my customers look like. I want to know their face. I want to know their heartbeat. What gets them excited? Those are the things that help get me excited. And then I just started knocking on doors. So we created a packaged product, which is called Warrior Snack Mix. We sell it in about 3,000 groceries across the country. We're in big retailers like Kroger and Costco and Whole Foods and airports, and lots of little moms and pops, some convenience stores, things like that. And I don't know if we are currently, but we have been on Ball State's campus. You might find us in some of the different food service locations around campus. But I just started knocking on doors. So I was pretty much a one-girl show, and that was my delivery vehicle. That little turquoise tub was my delivery vehicle in the early days, where I would take my orders and deliver them to the back doors of groceries and little independent mom and pop stores. And then, you see the growth along the way of me in the corner there at the headquarters of Walmart. So nice little growth plan we've had over the years. So I officially started the company in 2010. And so we've been at it for 14 years now. But one of the things that I also want to share with you is our pitch deck. And that's coming up next. And through the process of deciding to work towards an investment in our company, we had been self-funded until 2022. So I was really proud of that, but also it was holding me back. So the consumer packaged goods industry is a very capital-intensive industry. You have to manufacture the product, you have to pay for the raw ingredients, the packaging, the manufacturing, the labor, all of that, the distribution, the transportation, all of that before you get paid. So you need a lot of money up front in order to grow and in order to get your product to different parts of the country, if that's your goal. That was my goal. I decided that I didn't want to be strapped to Noblesville, Indiana. I didn't want people to come to me. I wanted to come to them. I wanted to be everywhere where people are looking for good food, to nourish their body and their soul. That's where I wanted to be. So I had big, hefty goals, and because of that, or due to that, I needed some financial backing. So we decided to do a round of investment, And I'm really, really proud and happy to share that the deck that I'm going to show you is a $1 million sales deck. So we earned $1 million with this sales deck, and I'll share it with you, and then we can talk about lots of other things as well. But the reason that I did go to an investment arm, because I was strapped for capital, I wanted to grow. Our team was teeny tiny, and we were stretched. And so we moved forward with an investment. So this starts the beginning of our investor deck, and it's going to start with a problem. So you always want to identify a problem in the marketplace. Maybe not a problem, but an opportunity. So maybe there's a gap in the marketplace, and you have decided that you want to attack that, and you've come up with a product or a service that will fill that void. But identifying the problem is usually a really great place to start. So we let our investors know that we identified a problem, and what that problem was there were products out there in the marketplace that weren't as healthy as they appeared, right? So they had added sugar, highly processed oils, and cheap ingredients. And that's all fine, but we were looking for something different. I specifically was looking for something for my family that was tasty, made with real ingredients that would keep him on his gluten-free diet. And that no one could tell that there was anything really special about it, other than it tasted good. So our solution that we created was the Warrior Snack Mix. It's plant-based, grain and gluten-free, no refined sugars, nothing artificial, and we have a whole handful of third-party certifications, which are really important to our customer. And because we did the research, we realized that our customer wants to know from somebody else other than us that we are certified gluten-free, because a lot of people that eat our food have diseases that will make them really, really sick and have other health implications if they eat gluten. So it's really important, we take it very seriously, that we're certified gluten-free by a third party. We're also paleo-friendly. We're B Corp certified pending. It's a very long process, so we're pending. We're certified women-owned. We're made in the United States. And those are the things that matter to our customer. Inside each package are soft and chewy chunks made with diced almonds, sunflower, and pumpkin seeds, real whole ingredients that you can see, you can identify, and you can know they have a nutritional value. We did surveys. We surveyed our customer. We surveyed the marketplace to find that what's most important to people when buying snacks, they want it to taste good. They want it to be low in sugar, and they want it to be gluten-free. And then knowing how we stack up against our competitors was really, really important, and this will make you a champion and a leader in your space if you really understand where you are and where your competitors are and how you are the same and how you differ. So we made this chart with nice green check marks, so it was really super easy to identify our strengths in our product all along the top and how we differ from the other competitors that we would be placed right next to in a grocery store. And then knowing the market. There are a few things that will really set yourself apart other than really knowing your competition and fully understanding your market and where you fit and how you can create value to the customer. And then this just breaks it down a little bit more, specifically knowing that clean label, gluten-free are strong and they are not going away. This pitch deck was created 2 years ago, and these numbers have continued to grow. And they're not slowing down. People are still looking for real ingredient foods that don't have artificial ingredients. They're looking for plant-based, and they're really looking to reduce their amount of sugar. And then I can tell you all day how great I am, right? We have this great product. It is so amazing. You're going to love it. You're going to love everything about it. You're going to want to share it with everybody you know. That sounds maybe nice. I don't know. But when you look at 5-star reviews, from people that haven't been paid by me, that just love it. They're offering their own view willingly. It makes that, brings that to a whole different level of authenticity. And then also, showing where we're winning. So these are outdated numbers. Our engagement is well over 100,000 these days, and our compounded annual growth has remained consistent over 100% throughout the years. And then just some 5-star reviews, that people have shared along the way that are super meaningful, because they're not coming from me. They're not coming from anyone in our company that obviously thinks we have the greatest product, right? We make the greatest Warrior snack mix out there, but these are unsolicited reviews. And then showing our national distribution. You'll find our products in these stores, big retailers, small retailers, throughout Indiana, the Midwest, the East Coast, the West Coast, Florida, all over the country. You'll find at least one of our products in every state across the country. And most recently, we're super proud to be an OTG. That's on the go. It stands for on the go, and those are airport locations mostly the East Coast, but also Orlando, Indianapolis, Chicago, and Minneapolis, and Denver as well. So hungry travelers can have access to our product as they're boarding a plane or ready to head home. And then a little bit about our growth throughout the years. So you see, back in 2014, we were teeny tiny, right? But still, I'm proud. I'm proud of our sales, because mostly we have had this growth year over year until we get to 2020. What happened? So like back in 2018, we realized our first $1 million in sales in 2018, and then even more in 2019, and then 2020, when everyone went inside and started shopping on their laptops, they couldn't find us because we weren't optimized digitally. We had a very small presence, and it was hard to find us. And we did have some retail distribution across the United States, but it was limited, and we were not deemed an essential item. So even if we had inventory in the back room, they weren't putting it on the shelf because they were only looking for essential items. That was all they could focus on. So our sales took a massive hit. That was rough. And then look at the next year, 750. Like, we were even less than we were in 2020. So what happened there? What happens in our industry, in the grocery industry, is most items are reviewed on a one-time-a-year basis. So you get the chance to meet with your buyer one time a year. And due to COVID, all those meetings were canceled. So I didn't have the chance to have meetings with my buyer to review or to grow or any of that. So it definitely took another negative hit on us. And so, but look what happened in 2022. We recovered. Not only did we do some fundraising, we had more money that we could put behind our business to grow our business, to add more new products to our business. But we were able to gain some new accounts, and things, have been continuing to grow. So that's a little bit about our growth. And then investors and buyers always want to know, if they're going to give you money, what will you do with it? How will you allot it in different areas? And how long do you anticipate it will take you to spend it? So I mentioned this is $1 million sales pitch. But our goal was $750,000. We ended up actually going over that to $1 million, and we went the angel investor route. So we have 5 angel investors that are literally angels, but they believe in us, they support in us, they help connect us to different industries and different leaders, and they help us problem solve. So it's not just the money that's so helpful and instrumental in our growth, but it's also just their business understanding and their connectedness within other industries that really help us out a lot. So we raised that amount and have been dedicating it. We actually haven't even gone through all of it yet. We've really, really stretched it. So it's been over 2 years, but we've really, really stretched it. So we allotted it for manufacturing and working capital, talent. We had a tiny team. We knew we needed more help. Everyone was really strapped, so we added some more talent to our team. We were able to spend some more money on marketing. That's not just in-store, but through promotions, as well as social media and working with influencers and those kind of things. And attending trade shows, those type of things as well. And then we knew we needed to add more products as well too. So always having a new product in that pipeline is usually interesting. So here's one of them that we did a package refresh. We just kind of gave our packaging a new elevated look. We added that Autism Jobs blue button on the front of our packaging, so it would help consumers know that we stand for something a little different. And then we also added our new mini bars as well as a hot cocoa mix. And the mini bars you're going to get when you exit the ballroom. So I have some for everyone to try. So take as many as you like. There's 2 flavors, so I have plenty. So make sure to take some and share with a friend if you'd like. And then so that ends almost the end of the pitch deck. Obviously, you want to have a last page that either has your mission statement or or has your contact information on it as well too. Don't forget that. That's super important. People want to know how they can circle back and reconnect with you and make an investment in your company. And some of the lessons that I've learned along the way are building a business is a marathon, not a sprint. Do we have any runners in the crowd? Anybody a runner? I had a few runners, right? So you probably either fall in one category, right? Like you're either a marathoner for the long distance or you're a sprinter. You go out fast and hard and you're done in 10 seconds, right? So building a business is really a little bit of both. But it really is, it's really a marathon. It takes a long time for things to happen, so you got to be persistent, and definitely persistence pays. Also, perfection is death. It truly is. I've seen this numerous times, especially on the packaging that I showed earlier. If I would have waited until everything was perfect, totally perfect, I would have missed it. Number one, I would have waited too long and someone else maybe would have created a product that was just like mine and they would have gotten the shelf space and not me. Also, I would just have wasted a lot of time, effort, and energy. So if you have a product, a passion, or a mission, and the capacity to put it out there into the world, I say just do it. Just put it out there and get going. And then handshakes are golden. During COVID and even past COVID, we've all had a shift in our sociability in some way, right? And so I am here to say that there are no replacements for a handshake. There's just none. I mean, Zoom is great. This is great. There's no replacement for a handshake. And anytime, I would encourage you, anytime you have the opportunity to get in front of someone that is a decision maker or someone that you can build a relationship that will help forward your schooling, your education, or your business, I would take every chance you can and do that. I can't tell you how many times I have gotten in the car and driven 3 hours for a 10-minute meeting. I mean, I've done it numerous times, and I've done it because there's no replacement. You can't get a really good feel over someone over the phone, over email, or even through Zoom. So that's just my little spiel on being personal and shaking somebody's hand. And then also be memorable. We're in a world, there's so much competition for everything. I mean, you name it, there's competition everywhere. There's somebody like you, not you, but there's somebody like you that might have a similar idea, that might have, X, Y, or Z in their back pocket. But there's only one you, and you have the ability to make yourself known and to make yourself stand out and be different from someone else. And that's what will help you win. And then also, you're a warrior. So it's a tagline that we use at Be Free a lot, and it's be warrior strong. You are warrior strong. You're way more stronger than you ever imagined. And so don't forget that you have really special strength inside you. And so with that, I'm going to leave up my Phone number is up here. This is my cell number and my email. So I take phone calls, I respond to text messages and emails. So if there is anything that I could answer for you, or you want to share a story, or you'd like advice, I mean it. Please reach out to me. I would be happy to connect. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find our product at BeFreeGF.com. That's our website. But also it's on Amazon. It's also in stores all across the country. But really, I'm really here for you. So if you have questions, or if there's anything you want to know more about me or my story or my journey or anything, I think we have a little bit of time. Yeah, I think we've got time to ask questions if you like.
What's the one advice you would give to people who want to start their own business?
The advice I'd give to somebody wanting to start their business is to just do it, right? I mean, it sounds so easy, right? Just do it, right? But I mean, like, do your homework, right? Know that, do the research and the behind the scenes work to know that you have a product or a service that, number one, that is good quality, and then have the capacity to produce it, and then go for it, right? I know, it does sound really simple, but I think that fear holds people back. It does me. Like, fear is the number one inhibitor for people to do the things that they really want to do. So try to push through your fears and go for it.
As an entrepreneur, how have you dealt with burnout? How have you dealt with that or managed it?
That is a great question, because I am like right on the verge of that right now. I'm serious. And it's hard, you know. Being an entrepreneur is often lonely. You might hear that. It sounds so glamorous, right? You can make your own schedule, you make your own decisions, all this stuff. You have a lot of risk as an entrepreneur. Like, I risked it all, right? Like, this is my livelihood for my family. So some of the things that I put in place for me are, I have a schedule every day that I try my hardest to uphold. So what works for me is I get up really early, like 4:15, and I have a routine. Like, I have a prayer ritual, I have a journaling ritual, and then I exercise. And I find that if I don't do those, like, on a habitual basis, it wrecks me. It really, really wrecks me. So I would say that's one of the things that I try to do. And then I try to find time outside of my everyday duties, that bring me joy. And it's hard. Like, yesterday, I worked until 8:30 last night on my laptop. And it's difficult. But I will say, having something that is your thing, whether it's exercise or you have a what am I thinking of? Not a talent, but a passion, a hobby, or a craft that you like to do. If you can kind of build some of those things into your life alongside of your entrepreneurial journey, I think it can be really helpful to relieve stress and just kind of give you a mental break. So those are some of the things I've done. And also, I will say, while we're passing, I will also say that it's okay, like, it should be okay to say to someone in your business or someone that you're doing business with, you know what, like, I need to take a little bit of a break. Maybe that's a 10-minute break. Maybe that's a week break. But that's okay for your mental health, like, to just let other people know, like, look, I gotta tap out. I'm gonna put this person in charge, and I'm gonna be right alongside you, but I'm gonna take a little bit of a break.
Have you ever thought about going outside the country and selling your product?
I have, yes. In fact, did anybody hear of the Sweets and Snacks show? It's an industry trade show that they had at the Indianapolis Convention Center in May, and we were part of that. And they had a foreign trade portion of that trade show, so we got to meet with buyers from all different, like 5 different countries. So yes, so we're looking at that right now. It's a little involved, just because you might imagine there's just a lot of additional things you need to know, and some packages have to be dual language. There's some border things that you have to overcome as well too, but we're really looking at Canada and Mexico as being the 2 most likely that we'll go into next.
You said that money or capital was one of the things that kind of held you back from getting the business like where it is now, like before. What would you say to somebody that's exactly what's holding them back? Like, how do they get that money? How do they get that capital?
So there are a lot of non-traditional ways to gain funding. Some of those are through the SBA, through the state of Indiana. There's an organization called Bankable, and that's kind of just what it sounds like. It is an organization that if you come to them and you don't fit the typical mold for getting a loan at a bank, well, they help you so that one day you are bankable, right? And so that's who we used in the early days. So those would be 2 great resources I would suggest. Mm-hmm. And then also just, sharing your issues and your challenges and your needs with people you know, or people who you know that know other people. I feel like just being vocal about what you want and what you need to build your business sometimes can be the answer that you're looking for.
Yes, and I'm an exchange student from Japan, and I have my own business in Japan. So I have a question. So if you could go back to the 20 years old, what do you think is your most important thing in college life?
What's the most important thing in college life? I cared a lot about what other people thought about me. When I was in my 20s, when I was in my early 20s, I did. And to go back, I would not do that. I would hope that I could be more confident, and that would be one thing. Mm-hmm.
Do you sell your product in like healthier grocery stores like Fresh Time or Trader Joe's?
Yes, Fresh Time, yes. Trader Joe's, no, not yet. That's my answer to everybody that says, "Are you here?" And we're not, or not yet, because I'm working on it. Trader Joe's, I love Trader Joe's, by the way. I love that grocery. They do a lot of private label, meaning they have their own store name. It might not be called Trader Joe's, but there's another name for it in their store. So it is a little more difficult to get in Trader Joe's for that reason. But yes, Fresh Time. We're in all of the Indiana Fresh Times, and not yet on Trader Joe's. Yeah.
How do you not let mistakes define you into failure?
Oh, that's a good one. I've made so many mistakes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's a recent one. The little mini bar that you're going to get on the way out of here, there was a typo on the package. We misspelled the word autism. Yeah. And printed it on 50,000 packages. That's fun. So here's what we did. I found it, and I was the final. Okay, so it did a couple things. One, prior to that, we only had one person signing off on package designs. Well, now we have 2 people. It's a company policy. We have to have 2 signatures on all package designs before it goes to the printer. And then we proof it again after the proof comes back, for the final run. So, So then what we did, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? The product is already in the package. It's like ready to send to the groceries. So we thought about it for a bit, and I was like, you know what? I think we just have to tell the people what we did. And so we made a contest out of it. So we did a contest on social media and asked who could find the typo. And sure enough, somebody found it, and we gave, a couple $100 worth of Warrior snack mix and gift cards and stuff like that. So I owned it, and then we created some policies, around it to prevent it from happening again. And then, kind of tried to be human about it. Like, we're all humans, right? We make mistakes. And so that was the approach we took. And I tried to remember that because we all want to be perfect, but no one's perfect. But we all really strive to do the right thing and do it to the best of our ability. And it hurts when we don't get it right. But I think one way that we can handle that is just owning it. Look, I messed up, I screwed up, I didn't do X, Y, and Z, but here's what I learned from that experience, and here's what I'll do different next time. I think people appreciate that.
So obviously, like, you talked about how networking and that kind of stuff's important,
Yeah.
and your investors have helped you with that, but how did you initially get your foot? Like how did you initially, I know you said you went basically door to door, but how did you get in to talk to the person you needed to talk to?
I did. I love answering this question because people ask me a lot, like, how did you get into Target? How did you do that? Like, and other people who are trying to get brands in, they'll say, I called them and they never called me back. And I chuckle at that because often it takes maybe a dozen phone calls to get somebody to call you back. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. I literally did. I had a bag of samples, and I would take it into the grocery. Earth Fare was my very first retail store in Noblesville, followed very closely by Whole Foods in Carmel. And that's what I did. I walked in this, well, I was already a customer there. So I walked in the store, I asked for the grocery manager, I introduced myself, offered him some samples, told him a little bit about our company in the middle of the grocery department, and then I asked if he would be interested in buying it. And, and then it took a couple follow-ups, after that to get him to place an order. But that's how I started. And how I got into Target, I made a relationship with Kroger, with the divisional president in Indiana, Kroger's, that was over all of the Krogers in Indiana. And then he got promoted to a different part of the country, and I followed him there. And then he got promoted to the head of grocery in Target, and I followed him there too. And at each step, I stayed connected with him all those years. It's like 5-year span. And at each step, I'd call and say, hey, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready for your stores now. Would you set up an appointment with me? Yes. And then when he went to Target, I called him up and I said, hey, Jeff, I think we're ready. Like, I think we have everything in place. I feel like we do a really good job for you at Target. Would you consider making an appointment for me? And he said, sure, come on up to Minneapolis. So that's how I did that. But then it wasn't an automatic yes. So I'm really quick to say, like, I never look for somebody to give me a handout. I just want the introduction. Like, would you just make an introduction, or would you crack the door open for me? And then I can take it from there. But with Target, he made the introduction. I went to Minneapolis. We had this lovely dinner with he and a couple of his other executives. And then he sent me off to the decision maker for that category, and she said no. And I was hurt for a minute, and I kind of thought about it for a little bit, and then I came right back with, here was my response. Thank you so much for your consideration. If you decide that you would like to have this product with named a few attributes, right, please keep me in mind. That was it, right? And then I circled back with Jeff and said, hey, Jeff, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Your buyer said she wants to pass right now. And I appreciate that as well too, but just know that I'm ready. When she's ready to change her mind, I'll be ready. And so guess what? 2 months later, she called me and said, I'm ready. So I share that story because that's not the first time that happens, and that's kind of how that's just kind of how I roll, right? It's no for now. So for those of you who are thinking, gosh, I don't know that I can put myself in a position for someone to tell me no, for someone to tell me that something that I created, they don't see the value in, or they don't think that it's good enough for them or for their store. I say that it's no for now. It's not no forever. It's no for now. So when you get those no's, and you will, Just look at it that way. Like that one little shift, it's no for today. That doesn't mean it's no for tomorrow or for the next day or for the next store, or for the next buyer. So that just little shift in thinking about the word no has really changed things for me.
You mentioned finding a way to stand out in front of people when you meet them. How is that for you, and what would you recommend?
I try to find things, well, number one, I try to be a good listener. I try to take good notes, either mentally or on my laptop or on my phone or wherever I take notes about when I'm talking to somebody, specifically a buyer, and they mention things maybe about their family or the way they like to drink their coffee or just something personal about them, and I take notes on that. And then after the meeting, I can circle back with either, I don't know, maybe a recommendation of something that I know that I like have in common, or maybe I need to do a little research on something. Just finding that something that's personal, that's meaningful to them, that comes out of nowhere, and they're like, 9 times out of 10, they're like, wait, you remembered I said that? So I feel like being a really good listener can really be impactful in that area and help you stand out if you take that to the next step, I just did we just sent a bunch of samples out, and then I always follow up, with a call or an email saying, hey, did you receive my sample? Did you like it? Does it look like it's going to be a good fit for your store? 9 times out of 10, I don't get an answer because these people are really busy, and I understand that. But I don't stop there. I maybe will send a handwritten note with maybe we got some new stickers, these little bumblebee stickers. So maybe put a sticker in it and just say, hope you have a great day. Just things like that show that you're human and that you care about them. So.
What's your process when creating new products? Like, what do you go through with different people?
We listen to our customers. Yeah, so the reason that little mini bar exists is because our customers have been asking us for something that's portion controlled, something under 100 calories with real ingredients. They don't want sugar, so they want honey sweetened. So we listen to what our customers are looking for. And also we go to trade shows. I keep up with what are the latest trends in food, in flavors, in ingredients, in sourcing and all those kind of things. So I'm trying to keep up with what's out there in the marketplace, and that helps a lot of times kind of fill those holes. And if we can be first or at the beginning of something that becomes to be really, really hot and incredible, then that's even better, but that's pretty rare. But yeah, we listen, or if we're kind of in a slump, we'll put out a survey. Hey, what would you like to see next from Be Free? So that usually leads us to something interesting as well.
We have time for one more question. Anyone else have any other questions? Yep.
So I'm a fashion major, and I saw that you studied fashion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been in the fashion industry, the fashion industry?
Oh, after graduation? Yeah, about 4 years. I was in it prior to college too, and then during college, and then about 4 years after. Mm-hmm.
So my question actually is from fashion experience. What would your advice be for opening up a fashion business? Because I want to open up a costume design business.
Nice.
So I have any advice there, or what I should look out for?
Well, location is probably going to be, a big key for you. So, finding a location that I would say, make sure that you have accessible parking wherever your location is. I live in Noblesville, and our town has gone through this just incredible road closure, construction, and it's wrecked a couple businesses because of it. That's unpredictable, but I say that because they only had street parking. You could only pull up in the front of their, shop to shop there. So I would say that would be a big key. Make sure you've got parking. And do it. I love that idea. I love that idea so much. And you have so many great tools at your fingertips, and I love that idea. If you can find something that is a little different, like costume, that is so great. That is so great. And you know, leverage the university as well too, to help you find connections and make connections with alumni in whatever town you decide you want to land in. Try to leverage Ball State as well for that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Thank you, everyone. This was fun. Thank you.